Hey guys and girls, going live here again with Michael, Vocalize So You'll Rise, like every Monday around this time. And we are going to talk about why establish growth as that independent leader by asking for support. So I'm going to invite him in. And hi Zeno, I just made new friends on YouTube, that's cool.
Hello.
Hey Michael, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm good. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm fine. Just woke up, as you may know. So, I just announced today's show is going to be about why you'll establish growth as that independent leader by asking for support. And since that is a mouthful, I'll say refusing to be open about what you need will always cost you more.
Yeah.
And I actually wrote down on my thumbnail the cost of pride outweighs any ask. So for those who are wondering how I came to that title, last Tuesday I was at a concert over here in the Netherlands, and the only way I could get a ticket was to use the wheelchair and reserve a wheelchair spot, and there were two left, whereas all other tickets were sold out. So I had asked my surgeon previously, okay, what do you think? Should I do it or should I not do it? And well, the result is the same because I can't stand for a long period of time.
Mm-hmm.
So either I need to stand front row and lean against the stage, or I need to sit somewhere. And so I called them and I said, do you have like a high bar stool I can sit on? And and they said, no, wheelchair place means wheelchair place. So there I went, mixed feelings, and I was like, So that was weird, getting out of the car, getting the wheelchair out there, walking behind the wheelchair, not wheeling in the wheelchair, walking behind it. Okay, so getting in, and they were friendly as ever. So I got transported up to two floors to the wheelchair
Mm-hmm.
platform. And of course, I immediately saw the first thing, like there was this ramp, and I was like, okay, it's good that I didn't have to wheel up that ramp and wheel down that
Yeah.
ramp. What's this saying? You're so beautiful and cute. You have a lovely voice. You're looking so cool with you, and please can we get to know ourselves? Scott, I'm not sure what you're after, but we are trying to be serious here.
I didn't understand that comment. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. So anyway, so I was up there, had a great time, and yes, there were several spots still open, and in between I needed to get a drink, and there are several bars there. So
Mm-hmm.
one was on the second floor, one was on the ground floor, and one was in between. So at some point I decided like I need to buy to eat, and I had my brace on my knee. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, my wheelchair is not going to fall down. I'll safely go, one floor down using the steps, which of course still was weird because I was with the wheelchair. and But I did go down, slow, keeping my balance. At that moment, I realized, yeah, I can pretend that all is cool, but it's not. I mean, that's just a delusion to myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it felt good to go down the stairs, though. So I asked them how I could get to the bar. I did, got some food, and then I asked for help again because me carrying a glass of tea and a plate of food and then going back up the stairs again with my wobbly stability,
Yeah.
that's not a very good idea. So, and then of course they helped me out there. I could put the food down, and later on they got the plate. And the funny thing is, afterwards, I was meeting up friends. So they were sitting on the folding chairs, which was down next to the stage. And of course, I was two floors up, which was weird. So we waved to
Mm-hmm.
one another, but I did feel a bit on my own, at the
Yeah.
wheelchair place. So I don't know how that's for you. Normally, I don't feel that alone, but this time I did. So we met up afterwards, and at the bar, and I had a great time. And by that time, I was used to the wheelchair again, so I had fun going in and out the elevator, making it fit exactly, doing all those little circles, and
Mm-hmm.
because I do think it's an art, being able to do so. Well, it's not
Yeah.
easy to do it. So,
No,
um, and then later I ended up with my friends and a possible new um, what is called tattoo, which is going to be a flying V on my arm. And I'm looking if I can actually find the drawing on there, which I did, but okay, that's not good. Some water was spilled on it just now, so it's not viewable anymore. Anyway, yeah, so that's why I decided to talk about this, because we can say we don't need help,
mm-hmm.
but is it true? And
No,
what does it cost anyone? And what do we gain by saying, okay, let's be honest, we do need it?
I'm stubborn, so I'll do something that I can't do or I need help with, and I'll fall on my face, or I'll not be able to do it, and then I'll end up having to ask somebody for help anyway. Just because I've like been out to family functions and dropped food and uh, drinks because I was trying to do it myself, and it makes you look it makes it look bad. It makes you look like you need help worse than you would have if you would just ask for it in the beginning. So yeah, you got to figure out when you need it, when you don't, and be willing to ask.
Yeah, yeah, that's so true. So one of the things I was thinking about, like, okay, I've got a hot cup of tea here. So the next time I was at that bar in the wheelchair, so the first time I only was wearing my brace, so I had my hands so I could just carry the glass of tea. But second time around, I couldn't. And I was like, yeah, if I put it in my lap, that's not going to be the most smart of decisions. So what do you normally do?
What about I? Well, tea is easy. I just pour it in, carry it to my desk, and that's it. Funny story though. About 22 years ago, it was before I moved to Vegas, and I was in my kitchen, and I was trying not to wake anybody up. And it's dark in the kitchen. I'm making tea because I'm a caffeine fiend, and I'm pouring the hot water in the cup, and I can't see. So I poured the hot water on my hand because I
Oh,
was because I was worried about putting the light on and keeping people up. So seconds after I poured the water on my hand, my skin's just falling off my hand. So I was wrapped. My hand was wrapped up like a mummy for like a couple weeks.
oh no. Oh no. Well, I assume you did wake up the people afterwards.
Oh yeah,
I did
everybody
it.
woke up. Yeah, everybody woke up. Yeah. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
Yeah,
did.
that must have hurt.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
didn't feel good. No, no, it didn't feel good.
Yeah, when I don't have my contact lenses in or my glasses on, I might not use the light because I'm not seeing anything anyway. But as for hot water, yeah.
Yeah,
But
normally I'm okay with that, but I couldn't. I literally it was just too dark.
mm, yeah, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I think Joe is on there too. So who did we see that I haven't said hi to? There are a lot of people I don't know the names from. So, but anyway, to get back to the topic, um, so I was thinking about this, and I know, of course, a lot of stubborn people, just like you and me,
Hmm.
um, and you who are saying, let's figure it out ourselves first before we are going to ask any help. And I was like, yeah, that might make sense to a degree. But what do you gain if you do ask for support, especially because the communication starts to exist because of anyone asking, and by being open and honest about what it is you need. Yes, someone gets vulnerable, you get vulnerable, but is that a bad thing necessarily?
No. People think vulnerability is a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree.
I believe the best place to grow is vulnerability.
Yeah, I love that. Yes. And that's also why and basically the title already says is why you'll establish growth. And why I said as that independent leader, of course I could have said for you who's stubborn, but it's about not wanting to ask for help. That's why I said
Yeah, yeah.
independent. And why leader? I believe leaders are can be notoriously bad at communicating what they need and expressing what they need, hence missing out on the help they could get.
Mm-hmm.
Finding the right person by simply opening up and asking for support instead of struggling on their own.
Yeah, I do that a lot. I'm getting better at it now, but I used to just do it myself, struggle, and then fix it later.
Mm-hmm.
I'm learning now, like, I don't, it's just hard to ask for help. It's a deep, innate thing that goes down to your core, and is it the back of your mind just nags at you all the time. And if sometimes, for me anyway, I always thought if I ask for help, am I good enough to be
Mm-hmm.
doing? And that's why I didn't. That's why I didn't ask. But if you need it, you need it.
Yeah, but you could also turn it the other way around. Like um, by people willing to help us out, they basically tell us we are good enough.
Yeah,
And
and
there's always someone who
I
will
never
help
thought of
you
that.
out.
Yeah,
So if you think about what you've lost, I don't know, maybe over the years or whenever such a situation occurred, what would you say you have lost? Is it time? Is it something else? It's
time.
time. And time, of course, we can never get back.
Yeah, yeah.
So are we talking about a lot of time? A little bit of time?
Well, I've wasted a lot of time on not doing things I should do, doing things incorrectly, um, not asking for help, a bunch of different reasons.
Yeah. So what would you say to your younger version now? Um, if again you would say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to figure it out on my own. Would you still do the same thing, or would you give yourself different advice?
I'd give myself more credit, more space. Just say, figure out what you love, um, go all at it 100%, and be willing to open yourself up and talk to people, ask for help, uh, have collaborations, uh, listen to new ideas. Just you can do you, but you need other people around you to make you better.
I love
Make
it. You are saying so many things. I can't repeat them all. I'll honestly say, but I will make a reel of it. That's what I can
good.
promise. um, yeah, but there's so much to gain from collaborating. That's so true.
Yeah.
Um,
Because other
so
people
yes,
have different.
if any, yeah,
What?
I wanted to say if anyone wants to pitch in because I see Ida is there too. People are welcome to join to talk about this topic. Like, okay, what do we do? Let we get pride in the way of asking for support? Or hi, Ida. Well, if you want to talk along for a couple of minutes or longer, we are talking about how we can establish growth as that independent leader by asking for support. So, and the cost of pride outweighs any ask. So basically, what do you lose if you don't ask? Because you need to be able to do it on your own. So anyone who wants to talk about that part is, of course, welcome to join. And they can send in, they can put in a request. So if you get back to what you just said, what would be the three main things you would tell other people as to why they should ask for support?
If you reach out and tell people you need help, you can start a relationship and have that connection between the two people, which I think is important, because the better connections you have, the stronger you become. I think it'll make you feel better in the end, because you'll know what you need, and you'll be willing to ask for help is a big step. If you can get to the point where you know it in your head, and then you can get over that hump of just being able to ask for it. So that'll make you feel better, I think, in the long run. And just letting you know what's out there as far as what needs to be done, what you can't do, what you can do. Thankfully I don't have much of an ego, and I don't really care about pride. I think it's it'll only hold you down. Just being open and transparent will get you farther than being closed off. And
yeah, I could easily have replaced the word pride with fear.
I get that, yeah.
Yeah, so I like it what you say about connection. And if I get back, the more you talk to people, the more people know about it, the more people you get to know. And there will be, undoubtedly, there will be one or two people who can really help you out in the long run too.
Yeah.
So it's a short-term relationship, but it's also about building and growing that long-term relationship. I totally agree with what you said. It makes us feel better when we know what we need. And what I loved what you said was about, and then we get back to vulnerability, asking for that support and being open and honest about it. Like, okay, I know I need it, but am I going to ask for it or not? So maybe pride isn't the good word. Stubborn probably is a better word. But regardless, when you take that step and you become aware, that's when you start to grow. And so, and what else? What we can do and not to do? It's about being open. Yeah. So and
it's just
honest.
Having hard conversations with people, telling them how you're feeling, telling them what you're thinking, so that they can talk to you and maybe give you a different perspective. Because it's just the way you're thinking might be different from the way someone else is thinking. Yes. And that may help you grow emotionally, psychologically.
Yeah, that's so absolutely true. And the first time I really had to do more with the wheelchair. I really had to get some lessons from other people, and of course they never offer that at a. Well, maybe if you are really at rehab. I've never been to a rehab doctor, um, so I never got to learn how to walk the steps when you could only use like one leg or that other stuff. But I did have friends um, who do go around in wheelchairs, so they basically helped me. It taught me a thing or two. So that was, which was what I needed when I
Yeah.
realized that I had to be in there for a while.
Yeah. I go up stairs not too often, but I do. I just use one. I use one of my crutches, and then I use the railing on the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense. I've done that for a while too, and usually I just pull myself up. So nowadays I can walk without pulling myself up, but it's still like, I'm an airplane and I'm like 3 years old, learning not to fall down. So Ida says, my share would be this: it takes a strong person to ask for help. Asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness. Just understanding we can do it all by ourselves and being willing to. Am I missing something? Or that's it?
I think that's it.
Oh, just understanding that we can do it all by ourselves and being willing to ask for help. Yeah, that's true. That's really true. Um, and then we get back to the vulnerability. We come back to the growth. And yes, and I think that one sentence, asking for help is a sign of strength, not weakness.
Yeah,
That hard.
it is.
And that's exactly what I was struggling with. Like, okay, how can I do it? Um, am I not a fraud by using that wheelchair place and using up that space? Then again, there were still places left. Um, but like someone said to me who brought me upstairs, it probably sits way more comfortable than a bar stool does, and it's not like the wheelchair came cheap or anything.
Hmm.
Especially not a lightweight big wheel wheelchair.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm talking about, and then mine is not even a fraction as fancy as yours are. But yeah, so Ida says we can do it all, and being willing to ask for help is strength. Yeah, and it also creates strength. That's what we came to realize too. So,
Yeah.
and one of the things I love about this show is um, you are not the person necessarily to talk a lot. I mean, I'm the
No,
opposite of you. I'm like,
and I love that because I can like just listen to you and interject when you want when you need me to. Cause,
yeah.
and it's not that I don't like to talk. I I'm just not. I've never thought of myself as good at it.
Well, you are. You are
Yeah.
good at I mean, the moment that I ask you a question, and it's not that you there are so many things you have to say, which and you always keep surprising me on a positive note because you are quiet, but then when you do open up, whoa, there you go. And that's amazing, and I love it. And you don't know. And it's so nice to be able to brainstorm with people because I started
Hmm.
doing a show on Wednesday on my own,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, it would be nice to have someone. So that's why I asked Joe to join me, and then like I don't know, out of the blue, there you were, and you
Hmm.
suggested that we would do one, which I still think is very cool. And it's nice to, you know, we get together beforehand and then it's like, okay, do we have a topic or anything? And there we go, going back
Yeah.
and forth.
Yeah.
So and to throw something into the mix, what I love even more is the fact that um, you are now also doing that show on Fridays, which is
Yes.
really cool.
Yeah.
So, can I just step out for a second? Um, I'll be there visible, but I need, and I'm sorry for the people who are watching this, but I need to send someone a message really quickly.
Okay.
Um, by the time someone calls me in the middle of the night, there is something going on. Uh, okay, yeah, send it. um, yeah.
Yeah, I've
So
been really having a lot of fun on Fridays with that show.
yes, so tell me a little bit more about it because I saw the glossy magazine and I totally love it. So you said you ask people questions, like 5 questions, or they
We
ask you 5 questions.
the format is, in the beginning, they either interview me about disability or any questions they have about disability, or they share with me a story about how it's affected them. And then at the end, there's 5 set questions that I ask them. And the 5 set questions that I ask them, how I got that idea is I used to love Inside the Archer Studio. So I took that uh, survey and just made my own version of it.
That's good. That's good. So if we get back to the topic what we're talking about,
Hmm.
um, you know, asking for support, how would that relate to what you do on Fridays?
Um, well, it's just an extension of it because the point of what I'm trying to do with that show is to have the guests learn something about disability or have me learn about their story. And that in itself becomes vulnerable. I mean, I
Yes.
can't, there's been multiple times when I've talked on that show and I've become emotional because of certain subjects I was talking about. So I think it's just an extension of what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I noticed something too. I haven't shared this a lot with other people, but I came to the realization. I mean, we started doing this, I think, beginning of February,
Yeah. Some,
and the other one I started doing at the beginning of January. Um, Things do come to the surface now as a result of it. Talking about all those things, and I never expected that it would have that much impact.
oh yeah. I mean, the more you talk about things, the more you think about things, they all come to the surface more quickly than they would have rather if you didn't like acknowledge them or put them at attention. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think if more you the more you think about it, the more you like talk about it, it's gonna come up in your everyday existence, I think.
yeah, I agree. I agree. I am dreaming more, and I'm getting more emotional. And of course, it's a way of to process things which have happened. And and the good thing is we are not afraid to go down a rabbit hole like when we are young. I mean,
Yeah,
you started talking about basically when you were a baby and you got out of the womb,
yeah,
and the doctor made the remark, well, I don't think you need to expect too much. And then your parents were like, your mom was like, oh no, you're not going to say that about my boy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
No way.
Yeah. My mother's a very strong woman, that's for sure.
Yeah. So that's That's amazing. My first memory probably goes back, and that's not a conscious memory, by the way. But when I was 9 months old, I was in the hospital for like a month during Christmas time, and that probably has shaped me when it comes to, am I worth something? Am I worth enough to ask for support? And it probably might be why, and that might sound like really, I was really quiet as a person, and I had a very soft voice,
Mm-hmm.
and I was very withdrawn. So I didn't like to socialize much at all.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of like the opposite right now,
Yeah.
unless you get me at a bad day. And when I've been talking for a long time, then I really need time to process all the stuff. But being in the hospital for months, being the youngest one, coming from a musical family where my mom played like the piano 3 hours a day, and of
Mm-hmm.
course having an older brother and sister, um, I from what I've heard is I didn't want to eat. So wasn't until my father dropped by and he would chew those grapes in his mouth and then he would feed them to me,
Yeah.
and then I would eat. So, but it was from, and that's on a subconscious level. I say it was sterile. I could ask for help, but nobody would respond anyway, which was true back in the day. It was white, it was sterile, it was cold. And you basically, if your diaper needed changing, your diaper needed changing, and no one did it.
Wow. Damn.
Yeah, yeah, it's not like they had the time or whatever it was to do it. So my mom needed to change my diaper quite regularly when she got there. So, so that probably has shaped me into not wanting to ask until, of course, I ran into the problem with my ankle,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and I had to ask for support. And the same
Yeah.
with food,
That'll do.
with my allergies too.
Yeah, that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I still see myself standing outside that airport in Barcelona, like, okay, I have a problem. I've got two crutches and I've got the suitcase. I only need to get in there. What are we talking about?
Mm-hmm.
50 meters, 20 meters. Just, I need to get there and bust for support.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I needed, and that was impossible to do. Was when well, unless I of course had left my suitcase outside, which of course was forbidden.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yes, those are the hard lessons. I guess that when I had my first surgery,
Mm-hmm.
no, it was before I had my first surgery. The time leading up to the first surgery and also the second one. Um, I remember trying all these things. Okay, I'm going to get a brace. Oh, I need a new brace. Oh, this one isn't working either. Oh, this one has been destroyed too. The various physical therapists. No, you don't need surgery. No, it's okay. And then, all I would hear basically is shut your mouth, don't be a baby,
Yeah.
and just do it. I don't know about you, but um,
Yeah, I've never heard that, but I've
not
heard other people.
literally,
Yeah.
but in your mind.
What is that?
But in your mind.
Yeah. Well, that's definitely things I tell myself. Yeah.
Yeah,
But
and
like
that's
I always, what people say to me always gets worse when I tell it to myself.
yeah, exactly, and that's why it's so important that we talk about it, so people can correct us
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
can stop that thought process and say, hey, hang on, Michael or me, Lexi, you are worth it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Everybody has to be nicer to themselves.
yeah. But of course, there's always a time and a place when to ask. And this is the thing, you can't always wait for the time and the place to ask. And that's maybe the hardest thing of all.
Yeah.
when do I ask? When do I remain quiet? Because it might not be convenient for other people. Like, for instance, what you said about the hot water. I mean, no, it wasn't convenient that you wanted some hot water to make tea.
Yeah.
But the result was way worse, you
Yes, it
know?
was. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what a lot of people don't realize. And that's why I do tell people, okay, sometimes you need to explain why.
Hmm. Yeah.
I've gotten pretty good at it. So when I was at the bar and I had my plate of food and I had my cup of tea, um, I literally explained, can you please help me out and walk me back upstairs because otherwise I don't think this will end very well. And also,
Hmm.
and I didn't notice, it was very crowded. Um, so actually, when I was walking behind her, we had to go through this crowd, and it was like, whoa, that's a lot of people. So I put my hand on her shoulder,
Hmm.
So, and she was walking in front of me, so I could just follow her and be in her path. And quite honestly, that was quite nice to
Yeah.
to not have to make that room again once more myself, but just being able to follow in her footsteps literally.
Yeah.
So until of course we reached the stairs, and then it was all of a sudden open.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's true. But I remember the first time that I needed help with food and drinks, and when I didn't say why, and I didn't want to scream all the way to the other side of the room, that was a whole different ball game.
Hmm.
Like, okay, I want some food, I want something to drink, I can't walk, it hurts like hell.
Yeah.
Um, and for the sake of appearance, I had to leave my crutches next to the door because that was asked
Hmm.
uh, by my partner that time. So I was like, okay, this is not working. And yeah, so the why can be very, very important too. But the cool thing, for me at least, is, and I don't know about you, is because I had to ask and I had to learn to ask, I can now actually teach people to ask.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Mm. Yeah. If you go through it, you're better equipped at teaching people how to do it or showing them the good and bad of doing it and what you'll lose, what you gain, all that kind of stuff.
yeah, 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 that's so totally true. So what can we add to establishing growth by asking for support? I think we've gone through quite a lot actually.
Yeah.
Um, you know, um, the vulnerability might be big time, number one.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah.
The growth by making ourselves vulnerable,
Hmm.
opening up, being honest about what we need. That's not, it's not a bad thing to do. It doesn't make us, yes, it makes us vulnerable, but not in a bad way.
People equate vulnerability with weakness, and I think it's wrong.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I'm guilty of this too. I've thought that being vulnerable was weak, but as I go on, it's a strength. It's a strength, and it's an ability to make you a better person emotionally, I think.
yeah, it takes guts, it takes courage
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
ask for it. And knowing that people usually don't understand it the first time around, we need to learn how to communicate that one ask we have, that
Hmm.
one question.
Yeah.
And by being forced to think about it, over and over again, I also believe that makes us better when it comes to communication.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, because if when you get to the point where you can be vulnerable and you can open yourself up, the more you do it, the better you get at it,
Yes,
and it'll
it's a
it'll
skill.
it'll allow you to be better at opening up and talking and being emotional. And because for me anyway, when you get to the point where you're vulnerable and you physiologically feel the difference, for me anyway, it made me feel better.
Hmm.
It opens you up and makes you feel better physically and emotionally.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And for the life of me, I wouldn't want to be that 16 or 17-year-old girl anymore. I used to be back in the days, who felt all alone uh, and just wanted to say, okay, if this is it, thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, well, now there are so many people I can talk to and grow with, and you are one of those. And Ida, for instance, she just said being vulnerable just makes you more relatable. We have a large community
yeah,
giving one another support. And if we hadn't opened up, maybe done this show,
yeah,
um, reach out to other people.
yeah.
Yeah,
It opens a lot of doors.
yeah, it does. It does. It does open a lot of doors, and that's maybe the one thing that people don't realize when they start asking for support the first time, or maybe even up till the 10th or 50th time, that if you dare ask, then you will realize that it provides you with so many opportunities.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that's a good one. It's a really good one. Okay, so I think we can conclude that this was about growth, about being surprised, pleasantly surprised, how people can actually um, help us out,
yeah.
about um,
And that makes you more willing to be vulnerable and ask for help. If the more and more people do it for you, if you once you ask them, or really at least offer, the better it makes you feel, and the more willing you are to ask for it, I think.
yeah, yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
And yeah, it becomes easier to ask for it, but yeah, it's also um, and I also do believe that it really improves the communication about what we need. Every time we ask it again and again,
Yeah.
we ourselves become more aware of what it is we need.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah.
And maybe that's one of the most important things, that we realize, okay, this is what we can do, and this is what we cannot do, and therefore we need help with.
Yeah.
And the cool thing is that sometimes it can turn out in a whole different direction, than you first thought of.
And the more you acknowledge that and talk to people about it, the more you accept it for yourself, and the easier
Yeah,
it becomes.
yeah. And of course, self-acceptance is one of the most difficult things to do.
Yeah.
So that's a topic for another day, not today. But yeah, when the more we ask, the easier it becomes, and that's what I've noticed. Whenever like today, I was sitting on this terrace today. Was brainstorming a little bit, sending you some messages, um, soaking up the rays of sunlight, and I was like, okay. Um, and that's my time, the time that I'm sitting outside in the sunlight. That's the time I use to brainstorm and get things done. That's
hmm
basically quiet time. And
Yeah.
so I have all these allergies, so I needed um, to get my food adjusted, all the ingredients adjusted, and of course they don't mind. And I remember that not too long ago I was with someone else, and the other person was like, "Oh my God, you can't ask that." And so many people actually react that same way. Whereas I'm like, well, I'll just ask the waiter or the waitress or the chef or whoever is there, and
Yeah.
they don't mind.
No. Well, yeah, a lot of people are just happy and willing to help. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what I've noticed, and I don't know if you've noticed this too, but when we are vulnerable and we ask for support and we share a little bit of why we need it,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, bye Ida, thank you for your input. Um, it actually leads to worthwhile conversations.
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, because the more you say, the more other people are willing to open up.
Yeah,
And like I've been told many times, I have a trusting face. So it's like when you talk to them and you tell them something that you don't usually tell other people or is very personal to you, they're going to be more willing to reciprocate that. And there's a lot of good conversations that can come out of that and become better and make you a better person, make them a better person. Uh, more, maybe not better, but more informed. Um, just yeah, the more you talk, the more you get, I think.
yeah, and then you can make better decisions.
Yeah,
What will you do on your own? What won't you do on your own? Um, what can you do?
yeah,
And what do you need expertise with from others?
yeah.
So it was like when I was going down the wheelchair ramp, I was like, okay, I haven't done this in a while,
Hmm.
and I know I can do it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm sure I'm willing to do it. So there was someone else standing next to me, and I said, well, you know what? If I go backwards, can you stand behind me?
Hmm.
That's the safest way because then I
Yeah.
know I won't fall out of it.
Mm.
So of course they were there, and if I'd done it myself, I probably would have come down forward, but a little bit
Yeah.
more slowly. So so yeah, that's true. Uh, so do you have any last words? Things we forgot to talk about? Things you want to add?
Um, just it's important to ask for help, even if you need it. I mean, don't let your ego or anything like that stand in your way. Because the more you ask for help, the more you open doors for people to come in to your world, and community is a huge thing,
Yeah,
and it helps a lot. And the more closed off you are, the I don't want to say alone. You'll be alone, but it's less communicative and happy if you're just doing everything by yourself. You're just opening yourself up to a lot more if you ask for help and you are willing to tell people why you need help or what you need help with, because they might give you ideas on how to do things or how to do things better, and I think that will be a big help.
yes, I agree. And it's that specific thing that it gives you ideas, it
Hmm.
gives you more knowledge, which is specifically what I wanted to get across uh, when I came up with the title when it came to growth. But to get back to what you said like a few seconds ago, and that's what I love too. So we've now talked, or you have talked about opening doors, which can go both ways. So doors are open for you,
Hmm.
but also doors are open towards you, as in people get to know you better.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Just
love
the more
that.
the more you talk, I mean, the more you talk, the more you open up, the more you tell people your story, they'll be willing to talk to you more and to tell you more personal things. And you can either get a lifelong friend like that, you can either get a business partner, there's a lot of different relationships you can cultivate through that.
Yes,
Just
yes.
uh,
Yeah, it's the connection and the
yeah,
quality of connection.
yeah, community connection. That's two big things.
Yeah, yeah. And let's be honest, normally we have this habit of saying, "Hi, how are you doing?" And we don't really listen to the answer because most of the people just answer, "I'm good, how are you?"
Yeah,
And it doesn't mean a thing.
yeah.
And when we,
It's a
yeah, go on.
normal reaction you do. You just, yeah, somebody asks you something, you just like don't even think about it. You just answer.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And when you open up, suddenly people are like, "Oh, whoa, this is a different answer," and they need to start processing what you actually said, and that instantly creates a different connection. And we are social beings. Let's face it, we are. We're
Mm-hmm.
just afraid of being rejected, and when um, one of us starts the conversation by saying, "Hey, could you help me out? With whatever," we give them, the other person, the opportunity to actually make that connection
Mm-hmm.
and be like, "Hey, I'm not alone. There's someone who, you know,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
that's good. That's good." So, unless you have something else to add,
No,
do you?
no, I don't. That's it.
Okay. Um, well, I would say thank you. It's, you know, it's so true. This is about growth through vulnerability, by opening up, by getting to know who we are, what we need, what we don't have, or maybe we could improve, but also about letting others in, letting them to get to know us, letting them uh, establish that connection with
Mm-hmm.
us, and by getting that support and by creating connection, by creating community, and also that growth from within, that's how we become stronger as a person, and how we also positively influence other people
Mm-hmm.
because they get something to think about as well.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, if people have a question, they can always reach out to you and me, right?
Yes. Yes.
So, and we'll be there again next time, same time next week.
Yep.
And of course, you'll be there on Friday. I'll be there on Wednesday
Mm-hmm.
again. And yeah, if people want to join, just reach out to us.
Okay. Great. Hmm.
Okay. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening. Bye
Yeah.
bye.